A presentation about a success story.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for inviting me to speak at the 4th Annual Innovations in Business Conference. It's a pleasure to be here. My topic this morning is something that is, I can see, very relevant to many of you. Many of you have paper cups in your hands right now. It's coffee, and a little company called Starbucks that all of you have heard of. And although the company isn't actually little anymore, it did start out that way. I'd like to talk to you today about the man who started the company, Howard Schultz, and about some of the things he's done along the way that have led to the company's great success. Perhaps these same ideas could lead to more success for your companies as well. In the early days, Schultz was like every entrepreneur. He had a strong motivation to bring the coffee culture of European countries to the United States. But, of course, he needed money to get started, so he needed to find investors. But it was quite difficult for Schultz to find those investors for two main reasons. First, they didn't understand why anyone would pay extra for a fancy cup of coffee, and this created a lot of uncertainty about the whole idea. Would they eventually get their money back? Now, of course, it seems like the world was just waiting for a good cafe latte to come along. I've certainly bought my share of fancy coffee drinks. Okay, the other reason for the uncertainty among possible investors was the fact that Schultz kept talking about using his company to do good things. That was unusual since the main focus of most businesses is making money. If you ask me, focusing only on making money is a great way to make a business fail. But I suppose a lot of people would disagree with me on that. So, what is Starbucks' model for success? To begin with, valuing employees is an essential part of the Starbucks business model. And it's an idea that many businesses could learn from, I think. In fact, I really shouldn't use the term employees to refer to the people who work at Starbucks, since they're actually called partners. As you know, partners in a company are equals. So I guess Starbucks wants to show its employees how important they are to the company. A well-known quotation from Schultz is that success is best when it's shared. And Starbucks does share its profits with its employees. With its partners. Not only are Starbucks wages a little higher than in other service jobs, partners who work enough hours can receive stock in the company. I mean, how great is that? If Starbucks has a good year, their employee stockholders also have a good year. Now let's think back to a younger Howard Schultz, trying to convince investors that instead of keeping employees' salaries as low as possible, in order to make a bigger profit, he was planning to pay his employees more in order to make their lives better. It must have been a difficult idea for the investors to accept. Well, Schultz was persistent, and he had confidence in his ideas. And in light of how quickly Starbucks grew, that persistence clearly paid off. Another important aspect of the Starbucks business model has been to treat the customers as individuals and to value them as people. It's no accident that your name is handwritten on your coffee cup and that the coffee can be customized in any number of ways to suit your taste. According to the company website, our mission is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Okay, as long as we're trying to learn lessons from Schultz and his company, it's important to point out that Starbucks has experienced some failures along the way. Schultz has given up his position as CEO on more than one occasion over the years. The first time was in 2000, and the company experienced some major problems as a result. Those problems were caused by the company moving away from Schultz's original vision. Instead, after Schultz quit, They moved away from being a company that cared about its employees and focused on making as much money as possible. And though every company evolves over time, this was not the kind of change that Schultz wanted. Starbucks sales were down, and some stores had been closed when Schultz returned to the company in 2008. So, in the hope of turning the company around, he outlined a set of plans for social responsibility, buying coffee only from ethical growers, doing community service, and making Starbucks stores more environmentally sustainable. And although he quit the job of CEO again more recently, he stayed on with the company in a new position. His goal now being the same as it was in the beginning, to have a successful company that also does good things. And this is where we can find a valuable lesson to take away from the Starbucks story. Customers have supported this company for many years now and made it a success. And that's at least partly because customers are willing to spend a little more to buy products from a business that has strong values and that acts responsibly. They want to feel good about the companies they buy from. And any company that wants to be successful needs to keep this in mind. Thanks. And we do have a few minutes for questions.
A conversation about Jack and Andraka.
This is nice, Brooke. We hardly ever have time to meet for coffee anymore.
I know, and we always have a lot to talk about.
We do. How is your family doing?
Oh, most of us are fine. Thanks for asking, Olivia.
What do you mean, most of you?
Yeah, well, we got some bad news about one of my cousins. He has cancer. Lymphoma, I think it is. Fortunately, they found it pretty early, and he's getting treatment.
Well, that's good. But I'm really sorry to hear that.
Thanks, I appreciate it. How about you and your family?
Everybody's fine. My brother Mike changed jobs and is now working at a startup company that one of his college friends founded a couple of years ago. Other than that, no big family news. I'm really busy at work these days, but I did have enough time on my lunch break yesterday to read a really interesting article.
Oh yeah? What was it about?
Coincidentally, it was kind of about cancer. Well, it was really about a young man who developed an innovative test for cancer, and he's one of those people who makes you feel like you haven't achieved much in life.
Why do you say that?
Well, he's so young. And he was only in high school when he started to work on this test. It's a test for a few different types of cancer.
What's his name?
Jack Andraka. He had a really good family friend who died of pancreatic cancer, and ever since then, it's been Andraka's mission to find a better, cheaper medical test for it.
Wait, I've heard of this guy. I saw a video of a presentation he gave. You know, it's the same with any type of cancer. Evidently, if doctors can detect it early, there is a higher probability that you can be treated and survive.
Right. Well, Jack has gotten a lot of recognition, all kinds of attention and awards for developing the test. The test he developed is cheap. It's just a special piece of paper that costs around 3 cents, and it only takes 5 minutes.
That sounds great.
Yeah, especially compared with the existing test. That one is really expensive and not very accurate. The worst thing about that test, though, is that it doesn't detect the cancer early enough.
And that's so important. So when will the new test be available?
As soon as they can make it available, I guess, but it will definitely take some time. Anything new like this, especially anything new in medicine, takes a considerable amount of testing. They have to make sure it works and everything.
That's true. It sounds like the test has a lot of potential to save lives, at least eventually.
Yeah, it does. And can you believe he got the idea when he was just a teenager?
That's amazing.
I know, right? I also get the feeling he's not going to try to get rich from the invention. I don't know for sure, but I think he wants the test to remain inexpensive. That way everyone will be able to afford it no matter what their income level is. He's a remarkable young man.
I know, it's impressive. It sounds like his new test will really help people and save lives. He was funny too, when I saw that video of him giving his talk.
I'll look online for that. I'd be interested in watching it and hearing him speak. I can also send you the link to that article if you want.
Sure, that would be great. Thanks.
A radio show about AI.
Welcome back. As I mentioned before the break, Roger Ali is with us today to talk about artificial intelligence. Thank you for being here, Dr. Ali.
Thank you for having me.
I'll be honest with you. When I hear the words artificial intelligence, the first thing I think of is the character Hal from the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Sure. Many people remember Hal. In the movie, he's the computer that controls the systems of a spacecraft. He also speaks with the people on the spacecraft.
And he's not very happy when the people decide to turn off the computer. In the movie, Hal becomes very dangerous.
That's right. But fortunately, artificial intelligence in the real world isn't like Hal.
Well, that's good. Can you tell us what is happening in the field of AI?
Many interesting things. For example, when we search for something on the internet, the search results that we see are chosen carefully. The search engine has learned which websites are the most popular, the most reliable, and so on. This prevents us from seeing a lot of websites we're not really interested in.
In other words, the search engine draws conclusions about what we're looking for on the internet.
Right. So it only shows us the information it thinks we want to see, which includes advertisements as well. We usually see only ads for products that the computer thinks we might want to buy.
You said it thinks, but is the search engine really thinking?
That depends on your definition of thinking. The search engine is capable of learning, machine learning, and it does have knowledge about the internet. Are learning and knowledge part of your definition of thinking?
They're part of it, but human beings are capable of so much more. We have our senses: hearing, smell, sight, touch, taste, and our emotions. We notice a lot about the world, and we use our judgment to make decisions.
That's true, and most computer scientists know that we can't replace human beings with computers. We don't intend to make robots for every kind of job either. That's just not practical.
Okay, but there are some jobs that robots can do.
Yes, there are. I should probably explain this a little better. When we want a robot to do something, we need to instruct the robot in great detail. We enter information about what the robot is supposed to do in any situation. If we give the robot a command, or if it finds itself in certain circumstances, it knows exactly what to do because we told it what to do.
That doesn't sound like a very intelligent machine.
It's not. But the latest idea behind machine learning, or artificial intelligence, is that machines might someday act more like the human brain. We're trying to go beyond the idea of telling the machine everything. We want the machine to be able to learn and to tell us something new.
That sounds interesting, but what are machines going to tell us that we don't already know?
We're not sure, but we hope that AI can be used in the medical field. Since computers can read a lot of information very quickly, they might be able to discover things that people don't have time to discover. If we think about cancer, for example, it's a problem for doctors because it's really many diseases, not just one disease. In addition, millions of people have had cancer, but doctors can't possibly know the facts about every one of those people.
But a computer could read all of that information and possibly see something that a human doctor couldn't see?
That's our hope, but we're not there yet.
It's something for us to look forward to. Our guest today has been Roger Ali. Dr. Ali, thanks very much for joining us.
It was my pleasure.